Hey, you guys. Hopefully this is up and running. Let's see what's going on. For some reason, my internet is like an eighth what it's supposed to be. So we'll see how well this uploads today, whether or not there's a latency and delays or not. Anyway, let me know if you guys can hear me okay. All right. I'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll jump back over here. All right. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It says live. It's also giving me a weird display going on. We'll see. It says the stream is good, but that's weird that it's showing like my internet speed so slow. Hopefully we'll work this out. Anyway, if once we get like two or a handful of people here, we'll jump right in. Oh, it does show that there's a few people. All right. That's weird that it shows so slow, but we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't error out. You don't have too bad a latency or anything like that, you know? Because I did bump up some of the streaming settings when the internet was better a couple weeks ago. Let's see, we'll jump over here real quick. Let me double check that the comments are loading right. Let me know in the chat, guys. Can you guys hear me? Otherwise, I'm going to go join my own stream on my phone just to double check. Oh, there's a commercial. Lovely. And we'll get right into this project with the ampersand sign and the initials showing how to make that two different depths. Ooh. Dave, let me try this again real quick. Oh, there we go. I could see. Yeah, the chat was gone. Cool. All right. All right, I can see that now, your comments. They weren't showing up a minute ago. Oh, there we go. Now they're on the screen too. Perfect. So it's cleared up. Hopefully it stays that way because it's showing that the internet speed is really slow, but I'm going to roll with it. All right, so I'm over here in Easel already, and I don't know if you guys saw the thumbnail for today's video, but the plan is to make that ampersand symbol. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick, because I realized I did all that setup on the other computer. All right. Cool, so there's that to use. Yeah, so this is what we're gonna make over here in Easel real quick. So we have to do, this is all one, we could do it as three different pieces, which I think is what it is here in the actual photo. The trick here is we're gonna make this heart on the ampersand, and we can do it as one piece with just two different depths and have it kind of layered like this, kind of like a layered text sign, or you can cut it out as three completely different pieces. And before we even go too far, project share, set it as unlisted, copy that link, and we'll drop that link in the chat. So if you guys want, you can grab this once it's all done and then make your own copy. Here, we're going to add that to the description too, real quick, at the very top of the description. Cool. So if anybody comes later on and they can't see the live comments and that one with the link to this shared Easel project, they can grab it from the description of the video as well. All right. So yeah, the idea is to toss an ampersand in. We can do it a few different ways. We can either bring in just a text and throw it in there. Actually, let's see if I can make it so this is on the screen too. Let me know if this makes Easel too small. Oh, don't answer yet. Don't answer yet. All right. Yeah, hopefully we can squeeze that over here without pushing it off the screen too much. There we go. All right. So the tricky part here is going to be putting the heart inside of the ampersand and to have like the other side do this little heart shape thing. So, I mean, there's a few ways to do it. We can either find that image online of like an ampersand with a heart, which probably isn't too hard to find. If I can spell stuff right. So we've got some, oh, there's one with like a heart at the bottom. That's not going to sit too well on a tabletop. I mean, so rather than doing it that way and kind of ripping off an existing one, I'm going to show you how you can kind of design this from somewhat from scratch. But I mean, there's an existing one here where it has a rounded top and a heart. I really like the way that the top here does that. All right, Dylan. Yeah, take care, man. Thanks for dropping by at least real quick. Let's see if I can not lose the chat and everything today too. All right. You know, I think it's time to set up the third monitor. It's just too much with the stream and the chat. 5 different tabs in this other window. All right. So over here we have, yeah, these other ampersands we could use, right? Let's just go ahead and just design one from, this one here is kind of neat with the 2 hearts, but I want to design one kind of just like the one in the photo here, somewhat from scratch. So I'm going to go over here and kind of cheat, use one from the, well, we'll see how the ones from here look. So if I did use one from here, the only real issue is, see how the thickness of the letters versus the ampersand here, you kind of want them all to kind of match up, I would think, and be similar widths, right? So using one from here is kind of not going to work too well for that. But we do have an interesting one here with a heart kind of tossed in it already. I think there's another one without this one here with an interesting heart shape as well, right? So I don't know. So let's go ahead and just bring in some text. I think this is going to be the one to use. There are some, oh, in case you didn't know this, you could go up here to the add fonts. You can actually type in the letters you want up here, and then, oops, not up there, up here. And it previews the actual text you want to see in those different fonts. So you don't really have to guess around so much, right? So we'll have to pick one that I kind of like, and then we'll just modify it to give this heart on top, right? All right, I had one in here before. This one here, this Arbutus slab, I kind of like. And this Armio one, right? Both of these ones look pretty good. The S looks a little too wide on this one, and that little loop back on the J. I'm not loving that too much. But we are going to kind of go in here so we can edit the letters to be the way we want them to afterwards too. Let me see, I thought there was one more in here. That one, that by Jam Jury. S looks a little funky, but the J doesn't look too bad, right? And then Barlow, I think Barlow is the one that looks the closest to that. If the S was a little bit narrower, we could squeeze that S in there. The J's got a little bit more lift to it on this one. There was one that really looked really close to it. Let's see if I can find it one more time. That one looks the most. So we will, oh, that wasn't installed yet either. All right, so it's that Koroi Gothic SC, and that's what we're gonna go with. Kind of stinks that we can't just select it right over there and just use it, right? So here we're kind of close to those, and we're gonna have to modify this ampersand, right, to have that heart shape in the middle and that loop around the top. Now there's a few ways to do it. I think the easiest way is going to be to use another heart shape, throw it on top of it there, and find the right offset to use to keep the edge the same width here, right? Or at least extremely close to this same thickness. In order to do that, we're going to use an offsetter tool to get those to look nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is make these no longer be text anymore, right? I got to convert it from a text to a vector so I can do all these editing. So in order to do that, there's a couple ways to do it. The easiest way that I find is to just toss in another shape here. I'm going to set this shape as a 0 depth, and then when I select the 0 depth and the font and then use the combine function by right-clicking and combining, it actually erases that 0 depth piece. It's gone now, but now these are no longer fonts. I can't type a new letter in here. They're actually vectors, and I can edit the nodes and whatnot to adjust the actual design itself, right? So that means that when I throw another shape on top, like the heart I want to use, we're going to be able to kind of combine it with these. Also, since I use that combine function, these are all now one selection. And I kind of want the ampersand all by itself, right? So I'm going to go over here under the apps, this Lego button on the left, and use, we can scroll through here, right? There's a bunch of different apps. The inlay generator, which is really only good for creating inlays with an in mill. There are some tricks to kind of make it work with the VBID, but it presents problems. But I like using it for making puzzles. Like kids' name puzzles, where it kind of fits inside of like an inlay. What else do we have here? There's a few other ones, like the Box Maker Classic. I've used that to make Plyo workout boxes. The texture generator, I've used that to make a honeycomb for a bee-themed cutting board. All right, we'll jump down here to the one I want to use, which is this grenade called Shape Exploder. And that's going to explode my font into individual pieces, right? It even throws this down in the middle, which I kind of like. It is going to help us with determining what the offset amount is. So there's a few ways to, so I'm going to determine what the offset amount is and kind of take a note of it and keep that for later on. So what we need to do is figure out what the distance is from like here to the edge. And I'm going to kind of cheat and just pick an area where there's a one node here, and I'm going to use the Y distance, 4.266. And I kind of want a node that's almost directly above it. And that works out, 4.485. 4.286 minus 4.485. So we're at almost exactly 0.2. So for our offset, we can use 0.2 inches, and that's going to work out to, you'll see later on when it comes time for that. But 0.2 is our offset. So I'm going to make a note of it there in the comments. And then we'll just drop the heart in here. Let's do that real quick. I'm going to go into the Pro Design Library and select the heart. If you don't have Easel Pro, you could do this using a shape from the internet. Some of these shapes up on the top are free ones. What we want to do here is bring in a solid shape. And I do need to find one that has a bottom portion that is going to kind of line up with the ampersand. So it might take a couple tries to pick out the right one for this text. You can see here how that one doesn't quite have the right shape to it. Although we are really big here, right? So I think we need a heart with a little bit more curve to the bottom to really line up with the way that this swoop and that line lines up, right? So I'm going to set that one up here for now. We'll grab another one. And we just need one with a little bit more width to the bottom portion. And if you don't know what I'm doing here to zoom in and out, I'm actually using the control button and the control key on the keyboard and the scroll wheel on my mouse to be able to easily zoom in and out. So I don't really want to make it crooked, although this one here is a little bit crooked, right? It's a little bit offset from being center. So we can turn that a little bit and it'll still look okay. And then to make this a little bit easier to see the difference, I'm going to go ahead and just change that color there. And that lines up fairly well with the original one, right? So I do want to get rid of this original shape that's here. So I'm going to kind of cheat and use this to cover it up because it's already a little white shape that's there. When I cover up that shape behind it, it's going to make the ampersand into this heart shape. I do need to keep this heart, right? So there's two ways to do it. I can either make a copy of it, or if I lock the object now, when I do this next combine shape, it'll actually keep it there, right? So watch, combine. And if I move to back, I've got that heart sitting right there on top. Right? Let me change the depth again to show you that. So there's the heart sitting right there on top. So when I did that combine, it looks like I had some parts that were kind of sticking out the outside a little bit. That's okay, except for this part up here. I need to fix that. So I'm going to go back real quick to where I had that white shape sitting on top, and we can either stretch it out. That's probably going to be the easiest way to go to make sure that we get good coverage in there, right? Make sure that's locked again. It's locked. So now when we select all these, we can see we've got some more of that showing right here, right? I'm just going to move these out of the way. So what we want is to not really have any of the original ampersand exposed during this combine process. And now we have that heart right there. Like I said, if I send this to the back, I've got the original heart sitting right there. And then I can just shrink this down, right? So I'm going to use the offsetter tool. And if you use offsetter V1, the original one, it actually offsets it and puts it down at the bottom left-hand corner. I want it to be offset to be perfectly centered right in front of this one. So I'm going to choose this offsetter. We're going to go inwards. We don't need to keep the original. And 0.2 was our number to use. Ooh, hopefully that's going to be okay. Ooh, that really does distort it, doesn't it? All right, so we might have to shrink the heart instead. So I'm going to justify it by the center point there, and we need to shrink it by 0.2. Oh, if this is going to let me type today. Oh, it's locked. I have to unlock it first. And then 0.1, so reducing it by 0.2. And see how it kind of doesn't really look right there? Actually, we need to reduce both sides by 0.2. So this has to be 0.09 because I have to subtract 0.4 from 1.3, which gives us 0.0954. 0.954, sorry. So see how it kind of distorts the center part here? I don't really love the way the heart does that, but it doesn't look too bad, right? We could play with it a little bit more to fix that, but then we have this weird stuff going on up here, right? So that's kind of where using the offset could skew it a little bit because the way the offset tool in Easel works, but I kind of like it still. We can do a combination of the offset and then shrink it as well. And if I set this up to cut outside the path, you can see kind of on here how that's going to carve out, right? Oh, you're good, Diego. You can, if you want, you can start over and just kind of fast forward. I did ramble on about some stuff, so you can kind of skip through going through the app library if you want. But yeah, so we've got that heart shape in there. It could be a little bit cleaner going through that. We can mess with the nodes and clean that up a little bit to manually distort the heart a little bit better. Oops, don't add nodes in there if you don't have to. Edit, redo. So that looks a little bit better. It still looks a little bit funky, I think, but we'll see. If we use the Alt key, it kind of allows you to put the shape wherever you want to, but if you don't hold Alt, it wants to auto snap, right? So pressing the Alt key on your keyboard gives you the ability to kind of move stuff around a bit more. So we can manually edit these ones in here a little bit. I don't love the sort of controls that Easel gives you in here for editing the curves using the double node point setup here. Hopefully you guys can see that. I might just have to get rid of this, because that's even messing with what I'm doing. All right. It's coming in a little bit closer. How you guys doing today? So here we can curve that one a little bit more. It doesn't look too bad in there. Yeah, I like that. That's not too bad. And then we scale it up. It is going to, yeah, that'll work. There we go. All right, so could do the same thing for the rest of these letters here. Scale them up a little bit in size. Because we don't want to carve these. How small is that? Ooh, 3 inches tall. No, let's go something more like 8 inches tall. And then we can just bring it over here, right? It says these are individual letters. We can kind of combine stuff. Now, I like to leave the center of your pieces here as a separate item because it gives you the opportunity to either pocket it out like this or to do a cutout like this. So if you did need to bring a piece like this center one back to how it was, again, that app called Shape Exploder is going to allow you to separate them back out, right? So watch when I import this one. Oh, I had that heart selected on accident. All right, Shape Exploder. It changed our size back down. Oh, because that, why did it do that? I'm going to cheat here and make this a 0 depth and then combine these, right? And then now we have that piece in there like that. And then hopefully, I think it'll work the right this time. This Shape Exploder app should retain the size. There we go. I don't think it liked that heart being inside of it. And then we can set these things here to cut outside the path all the way through. And then these pieces here, like I said, you can choose whether to pocket them out or to set them to cut inside the path to retain the original shape there. So then we're ready to go to cut these out into 3 separate pieces. You can kind of organize them a little bit better to utilize your material. Once you do have the depths you want and the cut type set over here, you can come over here and group them. And now it's easier to select them without accidentally having the wrong thing selected, without kind of allows you to nest stuff a little bit better, maybe depending on where your material is and how you can best utilize that material. Now, you notice over here in the sample image, we've all got the wood grain all kind of matches. So I wouldn't go too deep into how you nest these parts, as long as you best utilize your material. But I wouldn't bother coming over here and rotating stuff, because then your grains aren't going to line up and it might look a little funky, right? Once you get it cut out. So if you do want the names here to be one piece and kind of stack text, that's where we go ahead and layer stuff on here. I'm going to select the S and J together, scale them down a little bit, and then this is where we can kind of layer it so that it looks kind of like the photo. Now, for all these, we would want to align to the bottom. That way, when it stands up, it's all one piece standing at the same level. And then all these bottoms here are going to help it level out. But you see here that this one here is a little bit lower than that. So we might have to edit that a little bit. Oh, since we are combined, we lose some of the functionality in there again. So ungrouped, sorry. So we can ungroup, and then select in here, we can see the Y position of that dot is 0.249. So we need to change this one here as well to be at 0.249 for this dot location, to place that one even with this bottom one. So it needs to kind of go over and then to 249. That doesn't look too bad. Like that. All right, so now if I select them all again and then choose that align to the bottom here, which is also under the edit menu, right? No, it's not. Oh, it's under the right click menu. Sorry, that's where it's at. So to make sure to select everything. And we can then do align bottom or align left or right. Oh, I do have to sorry, I skipped a step. I have to regroup these, right? Or else these are going to try and align themselves. Watch what happens. If I choose align bottom, it pushes those down at the bottom. So that's kind of why that grouping function works out pretty well for these. Select all again, align to the bottom. And now we can mess with our combining these even more to get this feature here, right? So I want to make a duplicate of this one. There's a couple ways to do it, right? Because we do want this cut out like that, but we also want it to be deeper in just these areas. Which that S could be a little bit farther over, right? So we get a nice little overlap in here. Yeah, I like that. So in order to do that, we actually need this part here, right, to be a little bit deeper than the other ones. So we need this part to be deeper than those and these to be not cut, which gets kind of tricky, right? So I'm going to go ahead and we'll select these two. I'm going to, again, lock them. This is getting kind of tricky to do all this stuff, right? Lock them in place, and then we're going to go ahead and use the offsetter app again. 0 amount offset, which creates a duplicate right there, right? So now I've got actually 2 copies. Now this one here we can set as a 0 depth cut as a pocket. Oh. I'm going to send this to the back because these here should be outside the path. And you can see how we've been able to kind of layer that S on top of that one. Now the issue here we've got is that cutout going around here too, right? So we can do that offsetting thing again to create another duplicate of this ampersand. And yeah, let's do that. 0 depth offset, keep original, and we're good. So using this, we can combine it with the S and the J cutouts. Holding shift to select all these. Oh, holding shift, not tab. I'm holding the wrong button on my keyboard. And then combine. And then outside the path. I'm going to send this one here to the back one more time. So I can see here, one of our issues is we've got this curve coming through that S. So I've got to fix that. The easy way to fix this section here is to kind of erase this from it, right? So in order to do that, I can combine these two, but that's going to cause a problem, right? Oh, it needs to be, this S needs to be in the front. And then when we combine like this, it cuts it out. But because we combined it, I got rid of that S, right? So I need to bring that back. I'm going to cheat and lock this and then combine it, which prevents it from kind of getting rid of the S. And now it's still there. So now we've got this kind of set up as if it was that one over there layered, right? So we do have some issues over here with the way that pockets cut and the way that perimeters stop things from getting cut too, right? So that can cause a little bit of issue there. We can trick that with some more offsets. Let's check that real quick. And then again, this guy here we can set to pocket to see what it's going to look like. Now you can see there's areas where, because of the bit I have selected and the size here, where the bit can't get into, and that causes these weird little spaces like that to occur, right? So one way we can kind of get around that is we can take these other shapes here and bring them out more. And you see we already fixed the area where it wasn't going to cut, the area over here. And we've got kind of this one here going around that too. So there's a few ways to do that. I think this is probably the easiest way is to either just edit the nodes or to apply a slightly larger offset to this, right? So I'm going to do that real quick. Offset V2 point, what size bit are we using here? 1/8. So let's go with 0.15, a little bit bigger than 1/8 of an inch. We don't need to keep the original. We can just get rid of it. Oh, did I do the wrong? I did the wrong selection there. Offset V2 0.15. Yeah, there we go. Send that all the way to the back. And we basically kind of oversized the carving here for that pocket, right, of that shape. So you can see we are wasting a little bit of time carving into an area that we're not going to keep anyway, but it does give us that nice looking ampersand. So I'm going to move this up a little bit so we can preview this real quick. Product preview, and then I can click these different areas and it hides that, and then we're left. This is how our actual carve is going to come out. Look at, there's a little bit of distorted pixel right there for maybe the heart shape. So we could fix that by playing with those nodes one more time inside the heart. But yeah, there we go. I've combined those together. So if you want to make it out of one piece, you could do that. I think this ampersand is kind of thin, so maybe we'll go back real quick and then make that pocket not quite so deep. So then you can see we've got like the two layered effect in there, right? So if we choose one of these different materials, that allows me to kind of show depth a little better. You can see that's how it could come out with a 2-color acrylic or 2-color HDP. It would come out like this, right? So let me know, what do you guys think about that? Is there anybody even here? Am I doing this for myself today? Oh, there's a couple people in here. All right, that's okay. So that's how I would do this as a one-piece carve with the two different letters there. I don't know why I shared the link now because I combined all this stuff together, but I can undo this real quick, grab that ampersand that I made with the heart, and at least you have that to play with. Thanks, John. At least you would have that ampersand to play with. So I'm going to quickly, real quick, undo all this until we're left with the original ampersand and its centers. Bring those over here. That way, in case you guys do want this little heart ampersand that I made, you can have that at least, and then do all the other combining you want to with stuff. I mean, yeah, you could do that glue them together thing. I just figured when I first looked at this picture, I thought it was one piece. Because my screen was smaller. But yeah, and I was looking at whether I wanted to show you guys how to make this heart thing in the candle trivet, right? The candle holder that's back here. The way I would do this is a thicker block, cut the heart, and then bandsaw it down the middle. That way you got a nice fitment on that one. But that's just too easy to make a video about, right? So now I've got this one. I'm just going to cheat here and go back through here. And is it going to let me redo all this? I'm going to have to do it all by hand again. Oh no, it all went away. All right, I'm not going to make you guys suffer through that. Anyway, there's the heart shape ampersand that I made. Let me fix this little piece here first. Oh no, because I combine that stuff, it's going to be a pain to fix. Actually, I might be able to just delete a couple of these nodes and have it come out good. That's not too bad. All right. All right, so if you guys did want that little heart ampersand that I made in there, you can select that one. If you want to edit the stuff, it's going to be a pain. I suggest bringing the heart back in and to edit the offsets here, because it does look a little funky, but not too bad. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, let's go over here and answer some questions. You probably end up having to buy one. Oh, the like probably the SVG of it, right? How do you get rid of the off fall in the 3D view? Oh, the cutaway stuff, probably. I think that's what you mean. So if you have a full depth carve here, I'll just leave it like this for fun. We can come over here and go like that. Actually, let's bring that back. It's gonna look really weird. Cut outside the shape like this, and product preview. So let's go through some terms over here. This three dots, one on top of the other, is actually called a kebab shape. That's a kebab icon, right? And where's a different one? There's another kebab up there, right? And if we select that, we can go to product preview here. And then it says here, click on cutouts to show or hide those areas. So these areas, by clicking them, I can hide them. And now we're left with just this. And in the past, I did something similar to this, cheating. So I think in another one of my videos, you can see how to create this before they release this product preview feature. And hopefully that mic is still plugged in, because I just kicked the cord. And how to do that by manually doing it. I'll show you that in a second too. It's a little bit tricky, but it gives you the exact same output. So now by clicking those three different things, we can click this download preview here. And we get a saved image of basically what you see. It erases this from showing and does everything that you see up there, right? So I think that's what you were asking about, John. Let's go full screen with this again. All right. And then another feature here is if you, a circle is a really bad example for this. Let me choose a different one here. Yeah, this one. Let's go with that. That's okay of an example. Something that a lot of people don't really use. Oh, off fall. I don't really make cabinets. I mean, I made a couple, but I wouldn't really even call them cabinets. We have this option down here also called uncut area, and what that does, it's kind of hard to see with this particular bit, but let me pick a different bit, a larger one. Oh, that bit's that'll be fun. A 1-inch bit, right? That kind of accentuates the issue here. So you see how the radius of the bit prevents it from getting into these corners, and as a result, they're highlighted red. It only works with pocket cut type. So if I over here, there's pockets, areas where it can't get to, and it doesn't show you that because it's not a pocket cut type. So using the pocket cut type and an end mill, it'll highlight in red where your bit can't reach because of the radius of the bit. Now there's a workaround to be able to show that in this other area over here, right? So if I take this and I set this as a 0 depth pocket, and I create another pocket here, we'll just delete that gear for now. Send to back. So I was able to trick it and show these highlighted areas. So if I set this back to a cut and outside the path, everywhere that it had highlighted a second ago matches up perfectly with these radiuses of where it can't go. Does that make sense? So to go from this to that, those areas where it showed red are right where the bit can't go. So this kind of tricking it by setting it shallower than the pocket behind and setting this as a pocket, and then it highlights those areas to show you that. Yeah, so that's just another neat little feature of using that uncut areas one to kind of sort of trick it to do stuff. And this is the same way, like this right here, and that I would show my product preview in the past. And this essentially gives you the same thing that product preview did a moment ago. But we can hide the wasteboard, and then I would come over here and use the snipping tool to capture the image. And that is how I did in the past what Easel does for you real easily with the product preview function now. Anyway, yeah, where are we at now? We're not doing too bad. On time. What else? I think I showed this a second ago, but I don't know how quickly I ran through it for you guys, so I'll show you this as well, John, if you didn't see it, and the other John. Both of you guys. Yeah, if we go over here and we select 2-color acrylic, we can choose custom colors. They're not that custom, but you get some more options here to pick from than just black and white or the traditional colors. So when you add things like the other J and the other S that were in my original design here, and if you wanted to preview this to somebody, like we said, right, you would have these colors showing. So yeah, just a neat little feature there. So sometimes I will, if you see my Etsy store at all, I'll come over here and use product preview, click these things, and then by using different colors, it kind of shows different possibilities of how somebody could paint their product or whatever, right? This green and blue is really funky looking, isn't it? Yeah, so some neat stuff there, right? If we click it another time, it comes back too, by the way. So if you accidentally are going through real quick trying to click your shapes and you click over there, click again and it'll come back. How did I get the bottom of the J and the and to line up again? Oh, it just so happened that the ampersand that I picked, right, it has this part of it was lower than that part. So here, we'll jump over here real quick. All right. And what I did is, to make them, so first I fixed the nodes by figuring out which node here was kind of the lowest. And then you can either use the numerical values to move them around to try and get them to match the numerical values of the Y. Or what I did here is just grab the node, and since it snaps with the red lines, I just made sure it was snapping to the very bottom one there and not the second or third or fourth. And then that put them at the exact same spot. Now, how did I line up the J, the S, and the ampersand all together on the bottom? First, I made sure that these were grouped with the ampersand. That way they moved with it. So you can group them, or you could lock the position of the ampersand and then select that and the S, and then use these tools up here, which you can see this one's already highlighted because that is what they are right now. So I can select this middle one. Are they locked too? Oh, they are. Oops. All right, unlocking the J and the S, and I can select middle, upper, do weird stuff like that. That doesn't look good. Or we can have them be justified to the bottom across the same plane, right? That is, I think, what you were asking, John, that very last part there. Is I selected them all, and then this pop-up here, we have a line to the bottom. We can also right-click, and we have those same alignment tools show up right here in the right-click menu. Those only show up if you have more than one item. Oops. More than one item selected. So if I only have the one shape selected, you don't get those align features because you can't align one shape with itself, right? You need at least two shapes in order to align stuff. So if I select these two, the J and the ampersand right there, now I've got those align functions going on, right? So you could do something like that to align it to have the right side here aligned as well as the bottom and stuff like that. Right. Awesome. So yeah, there's, what else? Let's go through some other stuff in here real quick. Who was it? I had somebody else who was asking a question the other day, earlier today. And the answer was in one of these tools. Now I forgot what the question was. Oh, well. We got the keyhole generator, which what that does is it makes your entry point and exit point the same on the same place, right? So normally if you just put a line, it's going to go down, up, and then lift back up in the Z, right? So by using the keyhole generator, it goes up and back and then lifts up, right? So you only have one entry point here. Now, again, I don't know why I'm not going to. Should I show you this? Here's the old method of doing it. The original method. Oh, I need another. I need another dot on this line. So we basically make a line back and forth and put an extra dot that's off to the side, but now it's not letting me move that one. Try that again. So basically go like that, but then we can move these lines around. And that forces the toolpath to go down, plunge, go back and forth. But the keyhole generator is so much easier to use. So use that tool. What else? Oh, you know how I did the offset with a zero amount of offset to basically create a duplicate? You could copy and paste and then use these aligning tools. Like there's a lot of different ways to take care of the same problem, right? Like we've got this one here. If I create another copy of it, right? And I want to then align them up because I want to use like maybe one for the perimeter cut and one for the pocket shape, right? We can select them both and then use these alignment tools. And now it's perfectly aligned to the one below it without having to, you can see that the coordinates here are the same for both of them. So yeah, that's a neat way of using those aligning tools to, center parts amongst each other. What else do we have? We can open up some. Oh, the other thing that I like to do, if you can't tell here, who else here? John, what if you didn't zoom back to the beginning to see what I did here? You can type over here on this side what you want your text to be, and it shows it right here in these in the font library, so you can get a preview of what your actual text is going to be. So you're not stuck with the quick brown fox one or the spectacle before the random words, right? You can have your text written out here. So you can see that this one here is miniaturized caps as opposed to actually lowercase and stuff like that. But yeah. Another thing for you guys to kind of be aware of, let's see, where'd that go? Yeah, is when you come over here to the Pro Design Library, I typed in ampersand, right? But if I make this any more complex, it's going to be too complex. There's no such thing as a heart ampersand in there, but there definitely are ampersands with hearts already built into them, like this one. It's just heart and brain, actually. It's just not called that. So if you're using the design library, I like to start with as few search terms that I can use to kind of make sense. Like if I use Star Wars, it's going to come up with all types of stuff, right? But if I actually type in Darth Vader, a lot of these ones that are Darth Vader that show up in Star Wars are not going to show up when I type in Darth Vader for some odd reason. Some of them will, but if you compare these to these other ones, they're not going to match up identically, right? There's going to be some that are over there in the Star Wars category that are not over here. So some of these might be called Star Wars Darth Vader, and then it is going to be in both because it did capture both search terms. But if that was called Star Wars Vader, it's not going to show up in my search because my search is too, it's not a smart search tool. It's a very, very dumb, per se, search tool, right? So you have to consider that as you're using this search feature in here. What do you guys have going on? If you want to share your project with me right now, I have no problem going through that. I was going to show you guys this new laser I got, but we don't have to do that if you don't want to see it yet. Last Friday, I kind of lost my voice, so we skipped last Friday on the live stream stuff. And this extract subpath kind of does the same thing as that zero depth offsetter, but it doesn't. The problem is, since it's tracing a line around the outside, it doesn't always create a full line around, and then it won't let you select like certain cut types. Like it won't let you like select pocket or outside the path. It's always going to be on the path until you close that shape around, right? Then there's a lot of tools in here that I don't really love. I don't really think that they work that well, these tools that are in here, right? The radial array one, I mean, it does okay to you could use the radial array to make like points to then put your numbers on a clock. But a lot of times you don't want the numbers actually rotated. So this circular text one here doesn't really work well with creating a clock. There are a lot of other better tools in other programs that work better, you know? All right, so you want to see the laser real quick? So atom stack, can you see that? Oh, let's change that camera view. This is why I need to hook up the third monitor, right? There we go. Clear that. All right, so Atom Stack sent me their I probably could unplug the power. Portable laser called a P7, which uses just 2 stepper motors. One for the Y and one for the X. No Z-axis one here, right? Obviously. And it's really small. The work area is only it's 200 millimeters by 200 millimeters. So what's that? About 9 inches? Can somebody do the math for that? 200 divided by 25.4. 7.87 inches is the work area. It's actually a little bit bigger than that, but not much. So we can almost get 8 out of it. But the laser that it came with is, I really like it compared to my other ones. It's a 5.5 watt, but it has a multiple, it has 2 focus lenses in it. So that means the focal point of it, focal length, is nice and long where the point of focus is, right? So what that means is as it cuts through my material, it doesn't have to jog itself down. It stays in focus as it cuts down deeper and deeper. This particular one is a multi-layer carve. I can actually see the different layers from where I painted it there on the side. So it's 7 layers, right? So it stays in focus as it goes through. So this 5.5 watt laser cut about as well as the 10 watt that I have from X-Tool, because that longer focus length, right? I might have to go in and laser engrave some stuff on the CNC wasteboard just for fun afterwards too. Oh yeah, the other part about the 5.5 watt as opposed to the 10 watt from X-Tool is I bumped the laser as I did that, but it has a smaller point of focus too, right? So you can get better photo engravings with better resolution compared to the 10 watt. But I like the 10 watt as well that I have. The drawback of this one is one thing, it's got a really small footprint. So if you did want to do larger stuff, that could be an issue. And because of the way the focus works, it sits 2 millimeters above the workpiece already. And there's not really a way to put air assist on it. So you can't increase the power like you can with other lasers by adding air assist. So yeah, that's one of the things I don't love about it, but it is really, really small. I could just build like a little rack for it and hang it up off the wall somewhere to get it out of the way, right? But yeah. Anyway, neat little laser that they sent me to test out. Well, if you think that's a dark burn, before I bothered to go through the setting, the speed and power test, I burnt this at some settings that I usually use for another laser. So it came out super black and charred. And I did sand the top to get rid of most of the charring. But you can see it charred up really bad. And then I went ahead and did the power speed profile test. And that one was set too high in the max settings, and it started to burn the whole thing. Yeah. But it also allows me to, because of that, this is something that I noticed about these, right? When I was testing it, is it happens to be the same. Like I mentioned, I have the X Tool D1 as well. It happens to be the same wiring as the X Tool, so the roller that I have for the X Tool plugs right into that one, and you can do tumblers. And the spacers that it comes with for calibrating the setup on these extended ones, this one comes with these 4-block spacers to make sure that it's set up parallel. And they also work as risers so that you can fit your tumblers underneath. Or you could put the whole thing on little blocks of wood, but the risers work as well to fit some taller tumblers underneath, right? So yeah. I mean, the RA2 from X Tool is a little bit nicer. The RA2 that has the jaws that clamp on your cylinder are a little bit nicer than this cheaper roller one, but these work. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to discuss next week. I have no problem taking your projects and putting a little spin on them, or if you guys want me to just show you everything that I'm doing in the shop, I'll go through some other projects that I'm actually working on. But the thing is, a lot of my work is just kind of repetitive. So after I show you that once or twice, you're not going to want to see the same thing over and over again with me just changing out names, right? But yeah, if you want this project, that link should be in the pinned top of the chat, as well as the description of this, in the description of the video, the live stream. So you can grab that, and here we'll reorganize these. And then the first piece is obviously this ampersand, if you want to steal that and toss your own letters on there. I'll make a note of who remembers which font I used. Oh, it started with a C, right? Koroi Gothic SC. So that's the font I used to make the ampersand's kind of going to match the best, right? So I can add a note on here. Is that how it was spelled? We'll click save note. Make sure I can spell that right again. Koroi Gothic SC. So we'll add notes. Oh, it's OIS. So the thing is, the note shows up as this little tiny note right here. I don't really love the way the notes show up. It's that little tiny piece. That's the only way that you can tell this has a note and this one doesn't. So, I mean, rather than putting notes, I try and rename it and just put that on there, because then at least that shows up on the bottom. Or you can write C notes at the bottom, and then that kind of points somebody towards actually either hovering over this or clicking on it to bring it up in the larger view up here, right? So yeah, you can add notes to your work pieces. Yeah. And then here we'll add another one over here that said without, I had to spell that last word wrong, didn't I? And then when you hover over it, it pops up with, you know, a longer display of those words. We'll just delete that back out. All right. So now that there was a, that's lovely too. Now that there was a note there, it's going to save as if there's still a note there. Pretty funny. Even though the note is blank. Anyway, yeah, there's some neat little features there, right? What else? There was one other thing I was going to show. Oh, something we often talk about. The topographical, Dave, the topographical carves with Carveco. What is it? I was setting one up before to try and do one, but it didn't work out using the website that I had before in the past. I think this Terrain to STL is the one that, a lot of people are using to create an STL of your terrain, right? So we can pick somewhere. I am living in California right now. So we'll pick, I don't know, let's just pick a mountain range over here. And you can generate a model. I believe you can change, yeah, you can change some stuff here about, there we go. I didn't actually set that up right. The box width and everything. Otherwise you can zoom in. Do weird stuff like change the angle of it. And then finding 0 again is fun. There we go. And then we download the STL. Unzip this. It pops up in the other page for me. Extract all if you're using Windows 11. I'm going to extract to that same folder. And then it's downloads folder, terrain, STLs, right? So if you're using CarveCo, you can go over there and use the model import tool. If you're over here in Easel, I'm just going to use import STL file, choose file, downloads, terrain, STL. Oh, Steve, I mean, anybody will listen, right? I'll share it with anybody who will listen. So I didn't set them settings right over there, did I? So it's very pretty flat, even though I picked a mountainous region. Oh, it might have been not that. Where's it at? Vertical scaling? Yeah. So this is kind of going to allow it to amplify some stuff. You can change the amount that water cuts in to drop down, so the water's not flat with the ground around it. The water will actually go into the model even deeper, right? And then you got whole instructions here about how to set it up. But I think that should work. Let me try that again with the scaling factor set differently. All right, one more time. That didn't really help at all, did it? Maybe it's got too much detail for Easel. No, because it would have aired out, so the file was too big, right? Let me open up the STL itself in my STL viewer. Oh, it's going to open up in Cura. Man, that'll work too. Cura's going to show up pretty well. All right. Let's see if it shows over here. Oh no, it's not showing my model. All right, yeah, there we go. There, it's in Cura now. All right. So you can see the model came in really small and poor detailed there, right? So we got to go back over there and maybe change the scaling of this so it makes it bigger, because you can see how small it is, right? So we'd have to go over there in that terrain 2 STL program and adjust some of these settings here for the model details and that sort of stuff. So hopefully, Dave, that might give you an idea of somewhere to go to get the STL file. I was using the national, I forget what it's called, but the National Parks Survey one, and in order to get the STL there, it's a whole process of like creating an account, waiting so many hours for the thing to process, and then it emails you the file afterwards. It's really a pain. Whereas this one here, you can create the STL on the fly yourself. But There was one other site I had here. Let me pull it up real quick. Touch terrain. Yeah, it's called touch terrain is the other one. I think that's the one is that the one I was using before? But it was a whole pain part, right? Oh, it's the GitHub one of touch terrain. So you'd have to download the program and install that stuff for touch terrain to work. But it's very similar to that other STL, the terrain to STL one, where you're creating a box, you're telling it the scale factor, and it's very similar to that CNC higher low detail. So you can try this one as well, the touch terrain one. This is going to link you over to the GitHub download page as well if you try and download it here. So you can download it from that GitHub app and then try that one too. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so you already there. Yeah, exactly. So touch terrain works, or that terrain to STL if you don't want to install a whole program and all that stuff. But I think that based on the results I just got messing around with the terrain to STL one, hopefully you're having better results with touch terrain. But I think I just needed to change the scale and the like the level of detail in there. Anyways, yeah. Today, I guess my special project, and then I'm gonna let you guys go real quick, is apparently I've got I didn't realize that have I been sitting over here on the camera and not showing you my screen when I was on the other stuff? I did, huh? Oh gosh, guys, you didn't even let me know that. Did you even see what I just tried to show you guys? You didn't, huh? That's okay. So I pulled up touch terrain over here, and I was showing the terrain to STL and how the terrain to STL one over in Easel was coming out like this. And it didn't look much better in Cura, but over here in Cura, you can see how it automatically scales to be super small. So less than 2 inches by less than barely an inch and a half, inch and a quarter. By 1.7 millimeters thick. So something over there is wrong in my terrain to STL settings, right? I think it has to do with maybe it's this. Let's go for that 10 millimeters tall. Let's try that real quick. Extract, we're good. Let's try that one more time over here in Easel. No, it's the same exact. These are all the same. I changed the settings 3 different times in trained STL and it did nothing to my output. Anyway, so yeah, hopefully you're having better results over in touch terrain than I have in the last 10 minutes with trained STL because I've changed all these settings. Oh, is that why? Generate model and then download? That's why. Dave, I appreciate it a lot. You don't ever have to. Don't feel that you have to do that. All right. I appreciate it though. So let's go over here in Easel real quick one more time with terrain to STL. After making sure to generate the regenerate the model. There, that looks a little bit better, doesn't it? So yeah, I guess the trick over here is your base height would be the height of the model here, right? So if I click on it. Oh no, that's probably the base, this part here. And then the model details where I changed vertical scaling. It's kind of how I made the mountains be, oops, bigger than they're really supposed to be, right? So yeah, if you do use Generate STL, make sure you click Generate Model before clicking Download over and over again, because you got to regenerate it if you make any changes. It probably says that right here in the instructions. And it doesn't. So make sure you click Generate before you download. Anyway, so what I'm doing this weekend, I've got like 5 of these that apparently I thought I had turned off my Shopify store for selling physical products, because I had them on Etsy and I shut down that store a while ago, or I put it on vacation mode months and months ago. But apparently I've sold a handful of these through my Shopify and I didn't realize it. So they're a couple months past due. So I get to offer them, I'm gonna email those people right now and ask them if they want a refund or if they want me to make their product real quick and get it out by Monday. But yeah. So I made a deal with some people too. Once we actually reach, it's a while away, and I don't know if I want to change the deal or not, because I'd rather be a view count now that subscribers don't really matter on YouTube. But I made a deal with them that once we hit 10,000 subscribers, I will walk them through exactly how I designed and make these, and how I make them so that when I change one data point, if the material comes in thicker or thinner than usual, it auto updates all of the sizing to account for that thinner or thicker stock from my supplier, so that the parts interconnect properly to form this stand. I can show you more of what I meant, more of what I mean, but that will show you a lot of how the design works. So since it does make a decent profit for me, you gotta wait a little while. So yeah, and obviously to sell those, I do have the Marine Corps license. So if you do want to rip that design, I do suggest you get that license. That way they don't come after you for using their trademarks. But you can use it for anything else. You know, you could put a company logo on there as the logo part, and then like a nameplate for somebody's desk, right? That'd be pretty neat to either sit behind them or as a retirement gift or something like that, you know? Anyway, so that's what I'm going to get to later today. I don't know if you can see the mess that is my CNC back there, but yeah, there's a CNC on a CNC with a laser on top of that. So all that crap has to get moved. So that'll be fun to do later today. Anyway, until next Friday, or I talk to you guys throughout the week. Yeah, I'll see you guys then. Actually, I'll probably be putting out the review video on the laser with a lot more of the cutting examples, hopefully in the next couple of days. Anyway, take care. Thank you guys for hanging out again. I appreciate it.